It sounds right to me. Hang on, let me just get my...
Hype up.
Yeah, you need to... Okay, get everyone
some
hyped.
hype.
Need some hype.
Okay. Oh, just quickly.
Yep.
I've just had some caterpillars hatch. I've been waiting
Caterpillars
to
hatch?
Yeah, for weeks. This butterfly, I watched the butterfly lay the eggs and they've just hatched. And I've just saved them because there was a wasp. And this type of wasp lays eggs inside caterpillars. So I literally found it. It was like huddled over this caterpillar. So I just poked it and then I did kill it.
The wasp?
Yeah.
Okay,
and then I moved all of the caterpillars. Yeah, it was pretty... Yeah,
you can't negotiate with wasps.
No, you can't. But it wasn't like a yellow jacket. It was like this big.
Yeah.
And it's black and it's really creepy because it has these like feelers and they like feel out like really slowly.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, it's really gross. But I killed it and then I put the caterpillars on my broccoli plants, which I bought specifically for the caterpillars.
Were these captive?
I've spent all afternoon killing the caterpillars that are on my broccoli plants.
Yeah.
So I want to eat the broccoli plants myself.
Yeah, I don't mind. I literally, because they were eating the wild mustard. Sorry, this is a tangent, but I'm just trying to get a bit hype. They were eating the wild mustard in the this wildflower planter box that my mum got. And there were about 35 caterpillars. And I was like, this is amazing. So many caterpillars.
That's an infestation. Yeah, you've got to set fire to the lot.
No, the next day I came back, they were all gone. All 35 of them were gone. How does that happen?
You got lucky.
No, Carl, no. Okay, anyway. Hello and welcome to another episode. Should I do that again because I coughed?
I've just realised as well that I've got my email showing as my name and I can't change it now. Can I change it?
Yeah, you can change it.
Can I
three
change
dots.
it? Oh yeah, I can, yeah. Hang on, because I don't want, just in case you put this up, this ends up on YouTube, I don't want to get spammed. Yeah, it's already happening. Okay, right. Okay, that'll do. All right, fabulous.
Oh,
all right,
Kamila,
Alex.
I just want to check. Is it Kamila or Kamila?
Kamila.
Kamila.
It's
Kamila.
Fine either way.
And Kwapinska.
That's a bit more difficult. That's Kwapinska.
Kwapinska.
So yeah, the W it's more like F.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And then the what's it called? The stress, is that on pin, like Kwapin?
So yeah, all right. So it's not a stress. It's just an actual letter in our alphabet.
Oh, okay.
And you read it N. So it's ni. I don't know if you hear it,
Ni.
but you say basically Kwapinska. So the N is like really soft, I would say. Yeah. But don't worry if it's not pronounced correctly. I'm really used to not having it pronounced correctly by now. I've been in England for some time. Yeah.
I'm going to bet that Alex now stumbles over that when she has this first attempt.
Watch me be like... and then...
it's going to be alright, whatever you pronounce it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jimmy, is it
Yep.
Jessal or Hesal?
Jessel. Just Jessel.
Jessel?
Jessel Panchel.
Panchel.
It's a friend of Ella's, actually, so yeah, Jessel
Okay.
Panchel.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Cool.
Oh no. Okay, I'm really sorry if I butchered this.
Well, hang on, let me just get a notepad because I need to do the timings, write down the timings.
Okay.
Hang on a second, I should have done this beforehand.
You know, a professional would have had this all sorted out, James. You know,
I apologise.
just saying.
But I am ready now. So, Alex, you do your thing when you're ready.
Okay. Hello and welcome to another episode of Armchair Opinions. Armchair Opinions is a blog where qualified philosophers answer questions asked by non-philosophers. Here on the podcast, we take a closer look at some of those answers. My name is Alex Impey. I am joined by Armchair Philosophers Carl Messenger.
Hello.
James Brown.
Howdy.
And our guest today, Kamila Kwapinska.
Hello.
Kamila is a PhD candidate in political and social thought at the University of Kent, researching modern Western cosmologies and approaches to organicism. Under the microscope today is Kamila's opinion about why the things we love hurt us the most, written in response to a question from Jessel Panchel. Thank you, Jessel. So, Kamila, talk us through your opinion.
Yeah, sure. So, the first thing that came to my mind was that actually Jessal asked about love towards objects. And I thought, wow, that's really specific, that's sort of different loving relationship that we have to humans. And then what came to my mind was Bernard Stiegler's thought. He's a philosopher of technology, and he critiques capitalism. And I thought, okay, this love towards objects is actually very specific to capitalism and our lives, to some extent conditioned by advertisements and branding and marketing and so on. So Stiegler, in his thought, he said, actually we're trapped in the loops of desire and consuming objects and products. So in the capitalistic economy, which is drive-based, this loving of objects is really, it's everywhere, and we all have to some extent problem with it, with loving objects and excessive consumerism. So how these loops of desire and fulfillment works is that there's this desire, this force of desires that precedes falling in love, but then we're being conditioned into being obsessed about objects through falling in love with them. So then we consume, we feel lack, we desire it again, we consume, we feel lack, we desire, and we consume more and more. And this is how consumerism and excessive consumption is actually one of the basic characteristics of capitalism. And why is this a problem? Why, loving objects that leads to excessive use is a problem? And again, Stiegler uses a figure of pharmakon. And this figure is as old as ancient Greece. Basically, I think I'm not mistaken to say that Plato was the first to use it. And he used this figure of pharmakon to describe technology. And maybe for him it was more techne. And he said that writing actually is in a way poisonous, because all of a sudden in ancient Greece people started to write and they start to remember less things in their minds. And now we can say it nowadays about all different kinds of technologies like GPS making us not reading maps as good, or calculators we can't really count in our minds anymore as well as we used to. And Gisele's example, she said, she asked about wine. So the same rule applies. Glass of wine, good for digestion. Bottle of wine, bad for memory. Bottle of wine, headache and poisonous. And actually, how do we know pharmacology the most? We know it just from pharmacological treatment, right? So small doses of the same substance is a cure, and in big amounts is a poison. And this figure of pharmakon can apply to everything. It can apply to food, which in excess causes obesity, and all of the other essentials, really. You can't breathe too much of pure oxygen. That's gonna make you lightheaded and you can faint, and it's not good for planet Earth either. It would cause fire, basically, if there would be a tiny biggest percentage of oxygen in the atmosphere. So again, back to desiring objects. We can see that we have to do something to stop consuming in excess. And Stiegler makes this distinction between drive and desire. So he says economy is drive-based, so we only consume, but we do not care. So he says the real love, it should be focused and based on care and knowledge, rather than just fulfilling the desire of consumption. So okay. That's what was going on behind. I thought I'm gonna talk a little bit more about what was behind, because I didn't mention any names, or any specific philosophy, but there were these two powerful theoretical constructions at stake.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so is that are you finished with your overview of your opinion now?
Yeah.
Fantastic, wonderful, that was great. Okay then, so I'll go straight into my question. So I'm going to go first. Right. Okay. Well, hang on. Let me write this. Let me write down the timing again. Okay, cool. So, Kamila, in your opinion, you argued that the things we love hurt us because the things we love are things we tend to use to excess. I love coffee, for instance, so I tend to drink too much of it, and too much coffee can indeed hurt me. Dizziness, shakiness, headaches, we've all been there at 3 a.m. I think that your explanation makes perfect sense. But the original question was not just why the things we love hurt us, but why they hurt us the most. So, with that in mind, I have 2 questions for you. First, do you think that is true? Do you think that the things we love hurt us the most, more than anything else? And second, why would anyone think that? It seems like a reasonable idea, right? But what is it about love that makes things so hazardous, or at least seem so hazardous? Following your explanation, is it because the things we love are the things we tend to use to the greatest excess? Is that why they hurt us the most? Or is something else to blame here? What do you think?
Yeah, I was thinking, this question made me think about love in general. And, okay, I answered about loving objects and why objects hurt us. And it was sort of based on, it's not objects that hurt us, it's more that we as humans hurt ourselves with objects. But I think this question comes from sort of our cultural perception of love, and we're being told by Hollywood stories that love is tragic, and you have all of these sort of love stories like Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Both dead by the end of the story.
Spoilers.
Spoiler.
Yeah. It doesn't count because it literally says at the start of Romeo and Juliet,
Does it?
doesn't it?
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh, sorry. Spoilers.
That's a spoiler.
That's a spoiler. Spoiled the first page as well.
Oh no. Might as well not bother now.
Yeah, so it's just this sort of romantic love that we think must be tragic in a way. And I think this question comes from the fact that we're being told all of these stories, and then we have God, who's Christian God. I don't really know much about other religions, but Christians' God's superpower is love, let's say.
Yeah.
All right, so we're being told, oh, this is such a powerful thing. It must be, something that can hurt us the most because we give it such a divine, transformative experience and the main source of happiness in life. And we tell ourselves all of these stories about how powerful love is. So I think this is where this question is coming from. If you ask if it's only excess, I would say also a lack of thereof. Yeah. If in all of these stories, what eventually drives these people mad or sad is actually not being able to fulfill the desire to meet the loved one, to be with the loved one. So it's both, it's the lack and the excess in a way. But then with objects, to what extent do we really need these things? Like I'm not gonna actually feel a lack of not having certain type of trousers that I'm being told I love this season. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I thought that perhaps it may have something to do with the fact that when we love something, we tend to identify quite strongly with it. So, and given the fact that it's external to ourselves, we're almost outsourcing our identity in a way, which makes us more vulnerable. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily have to be a person. Like, I kind of thought of people who support football teams zealously. When their team loses, they often feel like physically wounded. And I think that's perhaps because they identify so strongly with that team. So much of their identity hinges on the performance of that team that when they lose, it's very painful, So I thought that perhaps that aspect of love might play a role here.
Yeah, I mean, in some strange way, having a trust in your football team is very similar to having a trust in your loved one, or I don't know if you're religious in God, and it's true that it sort of breaks if it doesn't go right. Or generally, if there is a loving relationship, it hurts more than if we don't care.
Yeah.
But that would seem, sorry, to me that if we go back to like the loving of, say, objects, wine or whatever, that to me seems a different thing, right, than the love of a football team or the love of, or, even, God's superpower type of love. It seems different to the other kind of love, which it seems to just be synonymous with desire. It's just wanting to repeat things, like a glass of wine, just wanting to repeat it like 15 times in an evening.
So, what would you say the difference was, Carl, between the two cases?
I don't know. Well, I don't know if there is anything different. I'm just saying that the way we're describing it, it seems to me that we were talking. You're talking about a football team, that kind of love. Yeah. But I think, well, that's fair enough. But that is a completely different thing than these other kinds of love. Even physical infatuation with a person, I think, is more similar to the love of a glass of wine than
that's interesting.
God's superpower love, which I think is closer to my relationship with Manchester United.
So which is the omnipotent entity in that relationship, Carl? Is it Manchester United? Or
well, it's certainly not me.
You've got the beard.
Yeah. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I think maybe it's with objects, we don't really create a bond, whereas with other, like with Manchester United, or I'm certain you have a bond with them if you follow them for a certain period of time, and it's the same with a loved person, or I think it's this bond and building a relationship and investing in a really long term sort of emotionally, rather than just being focused on this very shallow consumption and just being satisfied here and now, and then just replacing it with another thing.
Is that, I mean, I'm trying to think of things like say a very old object, say if there's something that you've owned for a long time, say a teddy bear or a piano or something like this, something that isn't necessarily replaced all the time. Is that loved in a different way to the glass of wine, the bar of chocolate, this season's trousers? These kind of things. Are they? Is there something transient about one type of love which somehow makes it lesser and is different to the kinds of love that we're talking about, where there's a superior form of love, which is, God, Manchester United, your wife or husband, those kind of things, and possessions which have some kind of deeper meaning as opposed to just this season's trousers.
For sure, and I think I mentioned a few minutes ago, care and knowledge, and right. I think this is what comes at stake here.
Yeah.
That if we're having something for a very long time, most probably we care for it. We don't throw it away, and we have a certain knowledge about it. We build a sentiment,
right? Yeah,
etc.
Nostalgia.
Yeah.
That's I was listening to another podcast recently, and they were talking about
traitor.
Apologies. It was Revisionist History, Malcolm Gladwell's new series, but he was talking about how hoarders hoard because they associate certain memories with certain objects, and they feel that if they lose the object, they lose the memory, and thereby lose something of themselves. So I was reminded of that when you mentioned about the teddy bear, Carl. Like maybe we associate even childhood memories with a cuddly toy, and we'd feel like we'd be losing a great deal if we suddenly lost the teddy bear.
I absolutely love this example because this is exactly against the fast consuming and fast consumering, and if we would actually care more. than just fulfilling the drive fast, then we wouldn't be excessively consumed.
Yeah, because I mean, I've got a particular teddy bear in mind, and I haven't seen him in about 15 years. But I'm happy in the knowledge that he's safe somewhere at my mum's house. If my mum rang me and said he's gone missing, I'd be heartbroken. What about Alex? Have you ever had your heart broken by a sports team?
No, because I support Liverpool, so.
It surprises me that you haven't found that heartbreaking over the last 30 years.
Yeah, but it's all worth it in the end, isn't it? It was a really slow burn, but it made it better.
Klopp is a hero. I think. I think he did it.
He's got a beautiful smile, hasn't he?
Oh, he has. Yeah.
Even I love him.
Stare at that man. Just kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm kind of not kidding. I was just going to say, that when we were talking about, you mentioned, Carl, about love of sports teams, and that how that was probably a different example to loving your wife or loving an inanimate object, which was an interesting comparison. And maybe we should tell your wife about that.
I don't think she listens, it's fine.
But no. It was just, it made me think of, the ancient Greeks. So I googled this because when I did RS at GCSE, they always tell us to include agape in every essay we did. So there's the 8 different types that I've got here. I don't know if there's more or if this is even, if there's less even, but it says eros or eros, erotic love. Philia is affectionate love. Storge is familiar love. Ludus is playful love. Mania is obsessive love. Pragma is enduring love. Philautia is self-love.
Yeah, I know that.
I hope that's right. Actually, it does make sense, does it? Yeah. And agape is the one that we used to talk about all the time in RS, which is selfless love, and made me think. I wonder how many of those the question would actually apply to. Yeah, because I think with agape, with selfless love, if you're loving something selflessly and it hurts you, would it hurt as much as manic love or philia, which is affectionate love?
Yeah, that's
so
really interesting.
Jimmy, what you were saying, your example of wine hurting you, is that going to hurt as much as, I don't know, your wife leaving you? That's probably going to hurt a little bit more, isn't it? Than
depends if she takes the wine.
Depends, yeah, it could be a double whammy.
If she leaves the wine, it's fine. Then it's fine, is it?
So the assumption is that I would love my wife, say, and the wine
equal amount,
but in different ways. So they would fall under different categories on your list. Yeah.
So no amount of wine can make up for, even though you love the wine.
Yeah.
You can't fill the gap left by. We've probably hit on something there. That's probably true. Yeah. Like if someone leaves you, then you can drink wine, even though you love wine.
Yeah.
You can't fill the gap left by the love that went, because it's just a different type of love.
That's right. And I suppose that's the mistake some people make as well when they are heartbroken and they try to replace the previous person with a new person.
Or with wine.
Or yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I thought that another interesting aspect of some types of love, at least, I thought would be reciprocity. So at least when you are in a loving relationship with a person, you like to think that there's a bit of to and fro there. It comes and it goes.
To me,
exactly. Yeah. But I think that with the love of certain objects, you obviously wouldn't have that. Maybe not, at least in the same way. But what about the sports teams? Like Alex, for instance, when Liverpool won recently, do you feel that they were reciprocating the love that you've given them all of these years by winning?
I felt personally like Klopp had come into my room and just kissed me on the mouth. That's how it felt.
Fair enough.
And I was like, stop Corona.
Stop,
and he was like, no.
Oh.
It's okay. It's like, okay. That didn't actually happen, by the way. I don't want a lawsuit on my hands. But yeah, no, I didn't. I guess you do. I don't know really. No, I guess not. I guess the reciprocity. It's more like joining in with their celebration, I guess.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like they're being like.
But you do feel like you get something back, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially because Liverpool's quite famous for its atmosphere, isn't it? The club. So I guess the fans. Maybe the fans did help. I don't know, but it's more. I guess for football teams it's hard because it's like you said, there isn't any. It's like, what do they call it? A parasocial relationship, where it's so like with YouTubers. I think this is a parasocial relationship, is where it feels like a two-way, but it's really only one way. So you feel like the YouTuber is talking to you.
Yeah.
And you're building up a relationship and you feel like you're friends with them. Obviously they don't know you. They probably will never meet you and they don't know anything about you, but you are at the point where, because they share so much of your life and it feels like almost personally with you, you've got this relationship. So I guess, I don't know if that, I sort of forgot where I was going with this.
But then it's almost absurd that these people who don't know you exist could break your heart.
Oh, I had that the other day with a podcast. There's a podcast I listen to that it's like a comedy podcast. It's just a funny thing. But then they started saying how awful people with beards are.
Beards?
And how, beards. And like everyone who has a beard,
terrible.
they're just, they're hipsters and they're ridiculous. And as a proud beard wearer for many years, I just felt completely betrayed. Like I didn't know. I had to switch it off because I didn't know what to do. Like I agree with them when they're normally talking about stuff, and then they're just like, "Oh, horrible." Yeah, but they poke fun at other people, and I'm like, "Yeah, ha ha ha." But then they started, they poke fun at West Ham fans, and I'm fine. Yeah, they poke fun at me, and I was like, "That's just mean." I switched it off.
I bet they can't grow beards themselves.
I think that was the issue. They did go into it in the end. Yeah, I think that was the issue.
All right, so shall we draw a line into the first?
I can't.
Yeah.
Every time we finish a segment, I'm like, how did we get here? Like,
I think that's okay.
Yeah. It's quite fun.
Yeah. So Carl's question is up next. Yeah.
Hold on, let me just. I wrote it and then.
Oh, first before we can anyone else hear a hum, or is that just me?
It is your room, I think, Jimmy.
I can hear it as well.
Yeah, I think it's my laptop. It's so old; it makes a lot of noise.
Oh,
I can't.
getting cool.
Yeah, but it's okay as long as it's just me. I can deal with that. I can deal with that.
It wasn't. It's not that bad. I don't think.
Yeah.
But my laptop's fan is going like the clappers also.
Yeah. Well, I made a mistake last time because my laptop's very noisy, so I decided to put tea towels over it to try and muffle the sound,
It was like,
and it overheated so badly.
Right.
Yeah, there's a toss up between fire and a bit of fan noise.
Right. Yeah. Mine's incredibly hot. Hold on.
Well, yeah. So whenever you want to dive into the second, your question, Carl, you do so.
Give me a sec. I've just got myself in a bit of a kerfuffle. There we go. Right. Fixed.
Cool.
Right. What did I say? Oh, yeah. Hold on. I wrote something. Did I? Yes. There we go. Excellent. Okay. Shall I just go?
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. So, Kamila, to start with, I did love what you said about love and it hurting us and all this kind of thing. I just thought, for a laugh, let's just say everything you've said is complete mince, and instead come at it from a different angle where we say, sometimes you love things and they hurt you, but sometimes you love things and they don't hurt you. And sometimes things you hate hurt you, and sometimes you hate things and they don't hurt you. So maybe there's no causal relationship between hurting and loving. And I thought that maybe what's happening is just, when you hear a song on the radio and you were just speaking about it the day before. Maybe it's this phenomena where just because it's fresh in your mind. So, when you love something, then it turns out to hurt you. You're like, oh, it's always the case that when I love something, it hurts me. When in actual case, you love all kinds of things. You love the colour green, it's never hurt you. But you don't, but it's only because sometimes things hurt you when you love them, that it seems like this is a thing that people say, oh, why do things hurt us when we love them? It's like, well, they don't necessarily, but when they do, it's just more noticeable. That was my idea.
Yeah, cool. I definitely see what you mean. Like, in a way, there's always a possibility to be hurt. So there is something is gonna hurt us necessarily only insofar as this possibility always is.
True, yeah.
Right. And I think I was trying to focus more on how this excessive use is hurting us, and love and excessive use is more causally dependent on each other. Then if I don't like something, then I'm not gonna use it as much, or I'm gonna avoid using it. So there is less probability that it's gonna hurt me.
True. Yes. I think we can say that. But at the same time, if we love something, in whichever way, does that necessarily mean we're going to use it to excess? And at the same time, does excessive use necessarily mean we'll be hurt? So I'm just trying to work out, I'm just trying to ask whether these sort of causal relationships are actually there, or whether they're just sometimes there, in which case can we really, hold them together as a theory as to explain what's going on.
Yeah. So if we use this figure of pharmacon, then basically that would be the rule. The excessive use is gonna hurt us sooner or later. But if we always gonna use things we love excessively, that's difficult to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it depends on the circumstances, really. If we're gonna be thrown into the environment when this is favorable, like capitalism and excessive consumption, then we're gonna end up buying too much, drinking too much. There's many going out too much in a way.
Yeah.
Like, this is all sort of not a coincidence. This is how this economy is driven.
Yeah. Kamila, can I just ask a clarificatory question quickly? When you say pharmacon, is that a Greek word?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So when you first said it, I thought you were referring to like a pharmaceuticals company,
like Big Pharma.
Yeah. Oh, I was like,
conservative pharmacologists.
Yeah. Right. It's those bastards again.
Yeah, they're everywhere. No, they rule the world.
Okay. So pharmacon's a Greek word that denotes this particular idea. Okay. Fantastic. I'm clearer on that now. But also, I was also going to try and defend your idea from Carl, if I may.
Sure.
So Carl thought that perhaps it's just at the forefront of our minds when we get hurt by something we love, and then we think, oh, everything I love ends up hurting me. But perhaps when we are hurt in such a way, it's at the forefront of our minds, not because it's kind of the hurt is recent, but because of the love. Like, so maybe there's something peculiar about love, that when something we love, I don't know where I'm going with this now. Hang on, I did have an idea, and then when you have an idea and then you start to talk and the words don't. Yeah.
You mean so that when something that you love hurts you, then the hurt is different to
the hurt types of it. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So there's almost a special sort of hurt,
right,
that derives from the fact that you loved the thing that hurt you.
Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. Is there is it to do with the love? Because for example, maybe you could say, like with wine, the reason you love it is because you get intoxicated, right? You get drunk. Yeah. Like if it was just grape juice and you didn't get drunk, no one would ever drink it, right? It doesn't taste very nice. So, but then obviously being hungover, which is the hurt in this sort of simplified way of thinking about it, is obviously related to the intoxication. So in that way, we can say, there's obviously a connection there between the overconsumption and the hurt. But I don't think that's true for like lots of things, or for example, interpersonal relationships. And I don't think it's true of lots of things. Like if someone loves celery, how can you have too much celery? I mean, there is no, because your love of celery is about the flavour. And so you could eat it until it's made you ill, possibly. But that's not related to its flavour in the same way the intoxication is related to the hangover. Do you see what I mean? So there's a relationship with wine, which I can see.
Yeah.
But then I think there's another question about whether you should love the intoxication or. And some people drink wine because they pretend they like the flavour, right? They you know. So there are different types of wine consumption.
Okay. So with wine, it's a good example of this phenomena because wine is in fact harmful, but celery isn't. Okay.
Well, actually, I think
in a way, yeah. If you have like 20 kilos of celery, it's gonna hurt you.
No,
nobody's gonna do that. But
yeah, I mean, I've realised that celery is a bad example because isn't celery? It actually takes more calories to digest it than it provides, right? So if you just ate celery, then you would die of malnutrition. So that's bad. But say strawberries then, or something like something that is
something that's like
carrots.
A net zero calorie situation.
Or maybe just a very low calorific content, so that 20 kilos of it would be fine. I don't know. Okay. I literally can't think. Mushrooms maybe or something. Mushrooms. I love mushrooms. You can't have too many mushrooms.
Okay.
It's intermission time. Time for refreshment.
Okay, good stuff. Sorry about that.
Can I just clarify? Is it the most as in most often or the most as in most painful?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh, I'd never even thought of that.
Because I feel like sometimes we're talking about it as if it's occurring the most often, and sometimes we're talking about like it's the most painful. Do you know what I mean?
I think you're right there. I thought it was the most painful, like
That's
the
what I
most
thought
amount
as
of
well.
hurt.
That's what I was going with as well.
Oh, okay, cool. Then we're doing the same thing. Where did I get this most often?
So-
Maybe you're thinking about wine.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
cool.
I mean, an interesting exercise would be to think about whether something that you. No, hang on. I was about to go to a very weird philosophical place.
Go on.
But I'll say it anyway for the sake of it.
Yeah.
So I was about to ask whether something which we don't love could hurt us. Could you think of anything? Go on.
like
Then.
if it-
Give me one.
A knife.
Yeah,
a
if
knife.
a dude
Yeah.
stabbed me, that would
Yeah.
hurt.
That would hurt. Yeah.
And doesn't it? Okay, here we go. Here's the kicker. Perhaps it hurts us because we love ourselves. What do you think about that, Carl?
It's triggering our nerve receptors.
Yeah.
Although I'd still imagine that even if you loathed yourself, getting stabbed may still hurt.
It would hurt more if someone I loved stabbed me. Definitely.
Ooh.
I think you got to be careful because the physical hurt would remain the same, wouldn't it?
Unless who's that guy that you're obsessed with, Jimmy, that does the breathing techniques?
Wim Hof.
Yeah. Isn't
Yeah,
he the guy
yeah.
that's like, I've just chosen for it not to hurt when I go in the ice or something?
Yeah, I think he does. But he's a bit of a. Pretty sure he's an alien, so I'm not sure whether we should use
not
him
a good example.
as an example.
Yeah, I mean, we want to be careful that. I don't know what's his name. Wim Hof.
Wim Hof. Yeah.
Could he choose not to be hurt when his wife leaves him because he keeps saying ridiculous statements? It's because it's a different kind of hurt. Like you can have this sort of control over your physical self. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But whether you could actually say, well, I don't care that Manchester United lost this weekend again.
Although, so with Wim Hof, I mean, this is kind of a bit of a tangent, but the fact that he went on his mission to save everyone and make everyone's lives better was because his wife committed suicide.
Oh dear.
So,
now I feel like a perfect arse. Yeah.
Yeah. But
sorry, Wim.
So I think the pain that he felt in that situation was enough to kind of change the course of his life,
Right.
It can be very transformative, the pain that we feel when we lose something we love.
Well, my point was not really about his wife. My point was, is emotional pain? Is it? Are you able to suppress that in the same way you are? Because they're completely different, right? The emotional pain.
That's true.
Don't they say though that isn't it like there's some like psychological trauma that can be like triggers pain receptors in your brain as if you have been physically.
Oh, definitely. I'm definitely sure that you can feel a physical pain from emotional pain.
Yeah.
Like heartbreak.
Just stress
Yeah.
taking over.
Yeah.
You feel like you've been punched in the stomach or
Yeah,
something.
there's no way
Yeah.
that they use like heartbreak for like throughout history. It's always been used as like a descriptive, just being completely and utterly hurt. Is like the feeling of pain in your chest. So it must be. There must be some link.
I think a lot of people would. I mean, maybe it's the emotional component of love which makes people think losing something we love can be so painful. Because I think a lot of people would agree that emotional pain is far worse than physical pain. I mean, it can last a lifetime. Whereas, I mean, having a stubbed toe,
you
all
can't
the
have
stabbing,
a
Carl.
paracetamol when your wife leaves, can you? That's not gonna.
No.
It's interesting there. We've swapped from hurt to pain. We've just like they're the same word. We've just carried on. This is sloppy philosophy. I think this is. We've lost it now. We're just throwing words around. You know.
Okay, so
let's go back.
So the original question was about hurt, and you think that should be distinguished from pain, Carl, kept separate from pain.
Only because you get confused. It becomes confusing because then we start talking about a physical sensation. And I don't think. I mean, I'm not sure if we're talking about physical sensations. Although obviously, of course, in the case of wine, it is a physical sensation. Unless you're talking about the betrayal you feel by the wine having given you a hangover, even though you loved it so much you had 2 bottles last night. You know. But I don't think that was what was being asked in the question. Well, I might be wrong about that. Now I've said it out loud, I think maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe they are talking about the physical pain.
Yeah, I think that the question was generally mixing a lot of things. Like, this question, why does it hurt so much? Like, this is so theatrical, this is so dramatic, this is so out of a movie, isn't it?
Right.
And then there is also an object in it.
Right.
So there's this anthropomorphization of all of the objects happening, right? Yeah,
Right.
like things we love and thinking about the hurt being done by the object.
Right,
So,
of course, yeah. When
yeah.
in actual fact, the wine couldn't care less if you drink it all or not. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't mean to hurt you as well.
I liked what you said in your opinion, where it was like if you drink 10 bottles of wine, you said the implication I got was that it only hurts you because you've given it the power to hurt you.
Yeah,
So you said
like
if
you
drink-
hurt yourself.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. You
It's not
drank
the
10
object.
bottles, mate. No one else did
Yeah.
that. And then you said it was like 10 bottles of wine on a shelf. Just sitting there on the shelf isn't going to do anything, obviously, unless the shelf like falls on you. But,
I thought that actually as well.
but it just sitting there, you just staring at the shelf from a distance, looking at these 10 bottles of wine through the shop window, perhaps, isn't going to hurt you unless you buy those bottles and begin drinking them.
Yeah, and that there's a question of causality again, right? Like what causes the pain? Like maybe it isn't that coincidental if in the end, if it's us that, we emotionally invest in things. So maybe it us causing the hurt in the end, in terms of relationship with objects. Yeah.
And to be honest, in your I didn't think that your opinion really suggested a strong causal relationship between loving things and their being able to hurt us. I thought it was more trying to explain the observation that the things we love do sometimes hurt us and give us an idea as to why that happens. So, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether Carl's setting up a bit of a straw man there.
I say it was just for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, no, I think I was trying to say that the excess hurts us.
Yeah.
That was the main message.
And it seems reasonable to connect that excess to our attitude towards the objects. The love. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking now about like a guy, like a religious guy, who is maybe, questioning his faith, and he's really upset because he's searching for deeper meaning, or he's searching for some sort of deity that he can't find. And I'm sat here as a kind of nonplussed agnostic person, and it doesn't bother me that God doesn't turn up, that he doesn't speak to me. That doesn't hurt me at all. Whereas now I'm thinking of a guy, maybe if you were brought up in a certain tradition, that would be really painful, right? And it's only because he loves the idea of a particular God that's hurtful. Whereas because I don't love the idea of a particular God, I'm fine with the silence,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is something to that, yeah.
No, that poses questions about love in general, like to what extent love is something that we experience or something that we give to the world.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's something that we experience, then it's not gonna hurt us.
And I think if you reduce the love to just an ascription of value, so to love something is to ascribe more value to it than you would if you just liked it. And maybe love is where you ascribe the most value to things. Then it just makes sense, I think, that if those things get damaged or you lose them, you're gonna take it hard. It's gonna be a hard knock.
It's a bigger loss if you equate something as more significant than something else.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that's the case though. Is it? Like, I know it's because we have these Facebook buttons now where we go from liking to loving, and it's like we go up a level. Yeah. Is liking and loving, are they even related that closely? I think I like lots of things. I love very, very few things. I think,
Yeah. I mean, I think some people think that loving is liking plus an extra special ingredient, and then they argue over what that ingredient is.
Yeah, but they're insane. That's obviously not what it is. It's a different thing in kind, isn't it? You don't just say, "Oh, I used to like this thing, but now I love it." It just seems weird. Maybe that's me.
Okay,
really
that's interesting.
Yeah. I used to like beans on toast, but now I properly love it. It's like, no, you don't love it. You just like it more. You've got mistaken. You can't love beans on toast. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's just people thinking, I'll put the liking up a level, and I need a new word for it, and they can't say like plus. Oh, I like plus it. They have to say love, and it's like, yeah.
So I mean, are you saying that basically we can't love objects?
Maybe the teddy bear. I'll give you the teddy bear. Outside of the teddy bear, I'm not sure it's love that we're talking about.
Okay. But we do say sometimes, "Oh, I love it." Oh my God, McDonald's advertisement.
Yeah.
Right?
I love it.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's their fault. Yeah.
I mean, I say it about movies. God, I love that movie. I don't love the movie. I when I watch it, I enjoy it. I enjoy thinking about it. I don't love it. No.
That means you're gonna go back. You're gonna do it again.
Yeah,
and basically implies you're gonna do it again.
Yeah. It does. Yeah, I'm going to consume it excessively.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, point proven. Yeah, the point where your eyes fall out.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Okay.
Thanks.
Should we draw? I'm not sure how long that segment lasted because we lost me, but we can draw a line underneath that one now if you want.
Yeah. Well, we when we lost you, it was 13 minutes ago. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long we were talking before that, but it probably works out to about right. Yeah, I think.
Cool.
Unless anyone else has something burning to say.
No.
Otherwise, we can dive straight into Alex's question. Okay, happy to do that, Alex?
Yes.
Cool.
Sorry, can I just ask something? Do you get sometimes a glitch on the
Jimmy
videos?
looks a little bit like glitchy.
So yeah, I do get it sometimes. I don't know if it's just me.
So when you say a glitch, is the is it the video quality?
Pixels,
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I think it's like internet connections just go a bit weird.
I think it's just internet connection.
I mainly get it with Jimmy.
Yeah, I think my internet connection isn't too good, but it's okay. I think I mean the video's only for our benefit. The Squadcast doesn't record the video, so I think the audio is still fine. We should still be fine.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think it sounds good to me. It sounds really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can dive straight into the final segment whenever Alex is ready.
Okay. Okay. So I also really, really enjoyed your answer, to the point where I wasn't really sure what I wanted to ask because I felt like you'd answered the question very well. So I went into a bit of a tizzy, but it's all right. So what have I written? I said, your answer very clearly laid out why the things we love can hurt us the most. I was just wondering if we can extrapolate. I think I've used that word correctly. Is that word used correctly?
Why not?
What do you say it is?
Yeah,
we can extrapolate that and ask if the possibility to be hurt is a necessity for love. So it can't be love without you giving it the power to hurt you.
I love this idea.
You love it, do you, Jimmy?
Yeah.
I love that idea, yeah.
Wow, I'm totally not on board with it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm like, I know what you mean. Because in a way we already spoke about how, okay, if I love someone, it's gonna hurt me way more if someone I don't care about is gonna do something to me. But I just don't like this idea of, I have to suffer in the name of love.
Yeah, I agree. I did like it.
Like,
but Alex,
I don't like this martyrdom. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Isn't it more about the possibility?
That's right. It's the potential for hurt,
But
not actual hurt.
There's what we were talking about before with the types of love, the selfless love. I don't think you are ascribing. Is that the right word? More.
You need to
I should really look up these words before I answer. Ascribing like more power for them to hurt you. If it's selfless, I feel like you've already given up that sort of like, well, what happens. I'm loving this person because I love them. There isn't this expectation, I guess, that they're not going to hurt you. So I think that's one of like probably the purest forms of love is selfless love, isn't it? Where you're just loving someone for the sake of loving them.
I'd say it's rare. I'd say that's a rare form
rare.
of love.
So yeah, that's why I disagree. But Kamila, what were you saying?
Yeah, I do think that love like requires some sort of vulnerability. Now I can't. Yeah, so that's for sure. So I see in a way that there is this possibility to be hurt because we make ourselves more vulnerable. But I don't like the idea that I should expect that sooner or later, if I'm in love, I'm gonna get hurt. So I don't like this idea of possibility of being hurt by love, that I should sort of expect it.
But isn't that whole sort of Hollywood, and I agree, I hate this kind of this melodrama that's created around the Hollywood idea of love.
Yeah.
But doesn't it come from like sort of the fact that like lives end? So you might be married and you love each other and it's great and there's no drama, and you just carry on loving each other for X number of years, but eventually you're both going to die. And so there's always that tragedy waiting, isn't that that you're always going to be, everybody ends up on their own. Do you know what I mean? Regardless, because you everyone dies on their own. Isn't that I feel like I've really bummed the room now. Like everyone's like, oh god,
I'm really sad now.
But I'm just trying to say, like, isn't that where the idea comes from? That like, okay, we you speed it up for melodrama, with in a Hollywood movie or something, and you introduce time travel to make it sell to kids. But at the same time, it's the same thing, isn't it? It's the fact that these things have to end because everything ends, and so if it ends, then you're going to experience the loss then. So there's always that tragedy waiting because life ends, So,
well, but then if you're on your own, you're still gonna die on your own, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Like in a way, this tragedy is there either you're in love or not.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. But maybe it's that absence of this other thing, whether it's a person or wine, eventually, Although I think you'd have to be a pretty shallow person to think the worst thing about being dead is I won't be able to drink wine anymore.
Just Captain Jack Sparrow.
There you go. But I think Alex is really onto something with this idea. Like I can't imagine myself being able to love something and if it was lost, not feeling hurt. So I would almost say that if you could lose something and not feel any hurt, then you never loved it to begin with.
Now I'm
I
agreeing
think-
with you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think Alex is right. I think it's necessary.
But what happened? Isn't it a song lyric? If you love something, let it go.
Let it go.
I don't know. It might be. Is that?
But that could still be very painful.
Barbara Streisand. I don't know where it comes from, but
Yeah, if
it
we talk
seems
about this,
Panic at the Disco or something.
right.
I'm sure it's been recycled.
If you love it, let it go. Right. If you like this selfless love, that's love, right?
But you're still gonna feel some pain, aren't you? I mean, they're not saying if you love it, let it go because you'll be fine.
Because you'll be fine, right? Yeah, of course.
There's
yeah.
no issue.
Yeah.
You know.
I think you're. Yeah. Now I think
Yeah, Alex is back on my team now.
this is what when I go really quiet, I'm like, hang on a minute, I've got to do some thinking.
yeah.
So Camilla, do you think you can love something and even if it was lost, not feel any hurt? You think that's
no,
possible?
I would be hurt. I would be hurt. I just,
There you
I was
go.
just thinking. I would be, of course. I mean, I was just thinking more like of this. Okay, this is attack on Christianity. I'm so sorry about this, but I don't like the idea of love being a suffer
Okay.
and martyrdom and sort
okay,
of that I love God, so now I've got to suffer.
Yeah.
Or Jesus loved people, so he's gonna put himself on a cross to prove it. Like
Yeah, I
in a
never got
way
that
I
either.
don't like the strong relationship between suffering and love. And I sort of maybe see it more for like feminist way. Like in the end, very often it's used for a woman to sacrifice herself for the sake of family because she's doing it in the name of love. And I don't like suffering being justified in the name of love. So I was just thinking more in
Okay.
this way, but definitely if I lost my loved one, I'm gonna be in pieces. I feel like crying now.
I apologise.
Was it worth it, James?
Nice one, Carl.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of get that. I don't. I feel that you shouldn't. If you love something, you shouldn't have to suffer for it. But yeah, I still think that if you lose it, you're gonna feel something.
I think you're right. I think you're both where you don't have to suffer to love something,
Yeah.
but it is a necessity that if something
potential.
happened to lose, that meant you would lose the love.
Yeah.
Then you would
That
suffer.
doesn't. Sorry, doesn't not take us back to Carl's question about causality, and can we say, okay, there is this possibility of being hurt always, right? It doesn't require a love relationship. Okay, it's gonna hurt us more if we love it, but anything we do in life sort of has a possibility of hurting us.
Well, maybe that's because everything we do is ultimately out of love for this or that or something else. I'm not sure, but I think maybe so. Carl, if I'm right, was questioning the causal relationship between being hurt and loving something.
That's right.
Yeah, which I think. I mean, I kind of agree with you there, but maybe the causal relationship, like we've said, is actually just between love and the potential for it to hurt you. That seems like a weaker requirement.
I'm now thinking about like food. I'm thinking back to objects, and I'm thinking, okay, so let's take strawberries. If strawberries are taken away tomorrow, do I feel hurt? Because I can still remember strawberries, and that's probably good enough, isn't it? I don't need
do
to
you
eat a
love-
strawberry.
Do you
Oh
love
God,
them?
yeah, I love them. Yeah, I love them. Do you not love strawberries? I thought everyone did.
Yeah, no, I think they're good. But you,
They're good. They're great.
but you said
I love
earlier
them.
on.
I
you
don't
said
like
ear-
them. I love them. I love them.
Okay, because you said earlier on about how if you said that you loved a film, that's
Yeah.
not really what you meant. You just
Yeah.
meant that you liked it a lot. But in
You
the case of
actually
strawberries,
love
you actually love it.
Yeah,
Is that what
I'm,
you're saying?
I'm kind of a food guy. I'm not really a movie guy. Yeah, I love strawberries.
So
Yeah.
would you feel? And you're saying that if they went extinct or whatever tomorrow,
No,
you
Carl,
would.
if you became allergic to strawberries as well.
There you go. That's a good one.
Okay.
Deathly allergic.
would
so
that
they're still
hurt?
there in the world. Other people can eat them.
Yeah.
Okay. And I
That's
just have to
really
remember.
good.
Specifically, it will kill you if you eat those
Yeah.
strawberries.
You see, that did happen to me, not with strawberries, but with seafood.
Oh,
I loved seafood, and then one time it made me ill. I can't touch it, and I can't even go in the same room as it now. That does annoy me. I am hurt by that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does annoy me.
Suffering.
Yeah.
But surely
Okay.
the pain.
I retract the strawberry thing. Okay, yeah. I'm mortified now. I'm absolutely No,
So
I would miss the strawberries. Yeah.
so you still don't go near seafood to this day.
I can't. No, it makes me really ill.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So the pain of being ill outweighs the pain of not eating seafood anymore.
It's not really pain. I mean, it's a physical impossibility. Like I once got very physically ill, outwardly ill, because
you exploded.
Yeah, because a guy had fruits de mer on the table next to me in a restaurant. It was just like the water vapors. Yeah, just the vapors of it just made me ill. So I have to be really careful.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's horrible.
Yeah.
And but you're saying that and like you said, it's horrible. I think
Horrible.
that I think that this is a case in point. You know, I think that you loved seafood, you can't have it anymore, and the fact that it hurts so much means that it's confirmed. Your love is
Yeah.
confirmed.
I guess it's
Well,
that.
you're saying the projectile vomiting is related to my previous love for the food. Because no, it's not. You know, I miss it more. I might be allergic to all kinds of things, but I don't know because I don't eat them.
You know, this
So
is
it's
just reminded me of a scene from The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Have you seen that film?
I haven't.
Anyone? It's a great film,
Brad
I
Pitt?
think. Yeah. There's a point at which he asks someone, like a matriarchal figure, why people have to die, and she responds by saying, "How else would we know how much they meant to us?" And I don't know why, but that's always kind of stuck with me a little bit. So I can't. Maybe when we lose something, it's only when we lose something when we know whether we loved it or not.
It's the
That's-
loss, yeah.
It's the loss.
It's
yeah.
the fact that you won't get to keep experiencing it. That's what they
Yeah.
say. Is like
It's,
mourning is a really selfish thing if you think about it, because you're actually mourning what you yourself have lost from that person. Obviously, mourning, it's not a bad thing. It's just the idea that you're sad because you know that maybe you can't go out to dinner with that person anymore. You can't ring them up anymore. You won't be able to grow old with them anymore. That's what you're sad about, is the loss of what you could have had.
It's another lyric.
Is it?
I know this one. This is John Lennon.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know what you've got until you lose it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a trope as well. Like you hear that in every other song, and
I think it's nonsense, though, isn't it? You do know, I don't need to become allergic to strawberries to know how much I love them. I love them. I mean, I've established that.
But maybe that's only through kind of like hypothetical thinking. What if I did lose them? You know, is it not?
I don't know. Do you
I
have
think
to?
it might be.
I don't know. You know, people get married and they love their spouses. They didn't have to break up for a bit to test it first, did they?
Maybe in their imaginations, maybe they thought, "Oh, that would be so dreadful if we broke
Actually,
up."
true. Yeah, we probably
Yeah.
do that. Yeah. Like I can't imagine my life without you.
Yeah, there you go.
That's another cliche, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is fertile ground for cliches.
Yeah, love.
But I think they're all pointing to the same idea. I think that love requires some appreciation of what it would be to lose the loved object.
I actually agree. Yeah, I agree with
Alex
you now.
is back on Team
I'm back
JB.
on Team James, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because this is my question and I myself did not... And you were like, yeah. I was like, no, I don't think so.
I pushed you into this. I
Convinced
apologise.
me, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna say I agree with your question, but I wish that wouldn't be a case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I...
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with Kamila. I can't squeeze my way out of it,
Yeah.
but I am disgusted by the melodramatic turn that love has taken in this conversation.
if it wasn't the case, if your wish came true, don't you think life would be somewhat impoverished?
What if we didn't have to suffer for love?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna say, I didn't say that there will be no suffering at all. People are still gonna die, let's say, but you know, it wouldn't be as painful that can break your heart.
Yeah. Oh, it's getting sad again.
Yeah,
now.
it's really sad.
Let's draw a line. Yeah.
Stop. I've got something in my eye.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let's draw a line into this final segment. Oh, hang on. So we So normally, Kamila, we do this thing where we go around each person and we have to say, in response to the question, yes, no, or what's the third option?
It doesn't work here though, because this is a why question.
It's not a yes or no question.
So you're like, why does this happen? And we're like, yes. So,
well, we could say with respect to Camilla's argument, like Camilla's, we could say whether we agree with it, we don't agree with it, or what was the third option, Carl? You don't know and you shouldn't ask.
No one knows and you shouldn't ask.
No one knows and you shouldn't ask. I mean, we could try and do that. So the question, Alex, would be: do the things we love hurt us because we use them to excess?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's do that.
We could do that. So yeah.
The question was, why do the things we love hurt us the most?
Yeah.
And Kamila responded, they hurt us because we use them to excessive consumption.
That's right. Yeah,
yes.
That's right.
Is that roundabout?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's an oversimplification, but yes.
It is an oversimplification, isn't it?
It's in the ballpark. It's in the
yeah.
ballpark. Yeah. And so we each have to say whether we agree, disagree, or I don't know and you shouldn't ask. So are you happy to set that?
I don't know if it works for this. Because I think like now we can say, why do the things we love hurt us the most? And we can say there's lots of, like, the reasons that we've gone through today is one, excessive consumption.
Yeah.
There's also the fact that now we've come to the conclusion that for us to truly love something in the first place, it has to be able to hurt us.
Okay.
Like, it has to have the possibility to hurt us. So how can we...
Yeah, I think we also talked about like love to people and love to objects.
Exactly. In like the things we love is definitely not people, is it?
So should we not try and boil it down to that?
I don't think so. I think that would be a disservice.
Scenario. Okay, yeah. No, that's fine.
Okay. No, I'm happy with that as well.
Yeah. We'll stick.
Too complicated.
Yeah.
What kind of conclusion do we want, though?
Well, we can just go straight into the outro. It's not an issue.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I mean, we could. Should we try doing it? So, well, we can make it even more simpler. The question is, do you agree with Kamila? Yes, no, or the question doesn't make. What is it again? We don't.
No one knows.
No one knows, and you shouldn't ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about that then? What do you think, Alex? Do you want to give that a go?
I'll give it a go.
I mean, if it like we don't have to include it. Like if it doesn't work, we don't have to include it.
Okay. So do we agree with Camilla's answer to why do the things we love hurt us the most? Jimmy.
No.
Oh.
I wanted to say more, but I got in trouble. I got in trouble last week.
You know, it's not a soapbox thing. It's just yes or no. Okay.
Okay, Jim.
I'm starting. Okay.
Wait, why no though? I actually am interested.
I kind of want to say yes now.
What?
No, because I think it's difficult. It's so difficult. It's so difficult because I don't think that. So I think that what Kamila said is definitely part of the answer. I just don't think it's the whole answer.
That's what I think as well. That's why I think it doesn't work this week to say yes or no.
500 words to this.
Yeah, all right, Alex. Yeah. I think you. I mean, Carl, do you want to have a quick go on the soapbox?
Yeah, do you want to go on the soapbox?
Well, I was going to say no one knows and you shouldn't ask. I mean, I've changed my mind about 15 times in the last hour,
same.
So yeah.
Same.
So
Okay.
I honestly, all I know is now I'm totes emotion at the moment. I'm going through a lot of imaginary loss.
Going through a lot right now.
Thinking about seafood, thinking about strawberries, and I'm a bit of a mess, if I'm honest.
Okay. So no one knows whether Kamila is right, and you shouldn't
You
ask.
shouldn't really ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's,
Alex, what about you?
yeah, let's never discuss this ever again.
All right. Okay. I think that.
Camila,
yeah.
do you agree with yourself? I should ask.
Yeah.
Still
After
agree
this
with
discussion.
yourself?
We went to so
We've
many
really-
places.
Yeah, we've really gone
Yeah.
everywhere, haven't we?
I just feel like going and hugging my mom.
You're very tired. Yeah.
That's all I feel.
Yeah, I think I might do the same.
Emotionally drained.
My mum. Yeah.
Not Camilla's mum.
Okay, Alex, shall we do the outro
Let's
then?
just do the outro. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me
okay.
find the plan, because I've moved my tabs around. Okay. Okay. That's it for this episode of Armchair Opinions. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you, Kamila, for... Is it Kamila? Sorry, I keep saying Kamila. Is it Kamila? It's Kamila. Okay, so...
Kamila. Yeah.
Kamila. Okay, that's it for this episode of Armchair Opinions. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you, Kamila, for joining us. Be sure
Thank
to
you.
subscribe, thank you, and rate us on Apple Podcasts, 5 stars only, and find us on our website, armchairopinions.org, where you can send in questions for the Armchair Philosophers. Join us next time when we will be inspecting an opinion about why we enjoy watching scary movies. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, that was fantastic.
Okay, cool.
That was
Very
good.
happy with that. Yeah.
Can I stop the video thing?
Yeah,
the
of course, yeah.
video.
And I'll stop this audio recording now.